Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Impact review for the 24th of February 2022. We opened with Ace Austin and Mike Bailey with Madman Fulton defeating Trey Miguel and Jake Something of BTI. Not a fan of this by any stretch of the imagination. Ace Austin probably the best under-discovered talent that they have, and not a fan of him being in this role. Opening video recapped Honor No More's invasion from day one up until No Surrender. Eddie Edwards betraying Impact Wrestling, giving Honor No More the advantage. Also, Impact World Champion Moose comes down to the ring, opening the show. Moose defeats Morrissey at No Surrender to retain the title. Moose talks about being the most dominant champion and proving it month after month, but at No Surrender, everyone was just talking about Eddie Edwards. Moose said that it was on him and made Edwards relevant to begin with, and if not for the beating he gave him at Turning Point, Edwards wouldn't have changed. He said that this was the case, same with the case with Josh Alexander, and he's now gone. Matt Cardona, who turned heel on Jordana Grace, and while he's addressing Morrissey, Heath comes out to interrupt. Heath is not someone that they should be putting in there with a guy like Moose, but whatever. Anyway, kind of just Heath said Edwards joining Honor No More wasn't a joke, and they now had a serious problem with Honor No More. He said that while he was down, Impact stood by him, so now he's there to stand up for Impact, giving them a leader that wasn't out there joking. And Moose brought up that Heath wasn't even on Impact last month at No Surrender. He said it was COVID protocol situation. He said that he was now negative and ready to challenge Moose for the title. Interesting to use COVID as an angle these days. Anyway, Moose said that he didn't care about anyone on Impact and the wrestlers, and surely he didn't care about Heath and his family. Heath attacks Moose and takes him down. Wake up call. Heath posed with the title over Moose's body. This is a weak thing for the program overall. Backstage, Team Impact asked Heath to join them and go fight Honor No More. Scott D'Amore steps up, tells Honor No More one and deserve to be there. D'Amore says whatever they do, they have to wait for the six-man match, and no one can get their hand on Eddie Edwards. Rhino gets Eddie Edwards at Sacrifice one-on-one. Why Rhino? Maybe because of the betrayal piece? I don't know. Anyway, so D'Amore then welcomes Honor No More, but asks why Edwards wasn't with them. Taven told them Edwards would arrive on his own because he knows that the Impact locker room was out to get him. Moose approaches the group, threatens them to not get in his way, nor come after the title, or there'd be problems. D'Amore said he's disappointed that Moose didn't have a problem with Honor No More, and so he booked Moose versus Heath for Sacrifice. Again, why? Anyway, Digital Media Championship, Matt Cardona defeats Jordana Grace in a .com bat match to retain the championship. Match stipulation, no countout, no DQ. Third match between the two, rematch from No Surrender. Grace comes out and with what looks like a modified DVD player, smashes Cardona in the head with it, but Cardona dodged and pins Grace. Has some early offense with the tope and then some keyboard, and then she gets from weapons under the ring and then goes back to the ring. Cardona then catches her with a boot and a suplex and cuts her off. Cardona now works over Grace with some weapons in the ring, but Grace keeps kicking out and Cardona's pin attempts. Cardona then brings a chair and uses it on Grace, but then she manages to block a suplex and turns it into a gutbuster on Cardona. Grace uses a foolish selfie stick, getting a near fall. Grace then brings out a bag of broken cell phones, like they were thumbtacks, but then she gets attacked with a computer mouse. Grace manages to block out and turn into a powerbomb on the phones. Ouch. Cardona then came back with a chair. Grace then tries a low blow on him, but Cardona is wearing a cup. But after taking off to show off, Grace low blowed him and does a offensive move, getting a near fall. Cardona then desperately pushes Grace headfirst into the chair, rolls her up with her feet on the ropes for the pin. Wasted time. Anyway, Influence meets backstage about Caleb Connolly costing Dashwood the match at No Surrender. Inspiration interrupted and then said that they were excited to finally be able to wrestle them. They defeated Caleb after Madison Rain was being rude to him, or they defended him rather. The altercation ends with Lee slapping Rain, and Caleb breaks up Rain, challenging Lee for the match next week. Gia Miller interviews Jake something about losing on BTI against Austin and Bailey. Something was about to answer when Trey Miguel interrupts him and said that they looked well out there and they shouldn't feel bad. Something told him that he was disappointed, but he's still focused on the X Division Championship and doubling the size of Miguel. Said he didn't need anybody to pity, only fear. And Blue Hip Pinger defeats John Skyler. This is the, I believe, third match between the two. Ginger defeats gets the upper hand early. Skyler cuts him off after playing possum and sends him into the buckle. Skyler works on Ginger's arm and then gets a couple of pins before Ginger makes a comeback and hits Sling Blade, jumping knee, and a spine buster for a near fall. Skyler cuts him off, but then attempts a superplex. Ginger then follows him off and hits a second rope spear, getting the win. Match is fine, I guess. Morrissey walks out and then goes straight for Brian Myers. And Myers takes out Skyler on the way, but then he gets chokeslammed Myers on the table. Skyler made the mistake of helping Myers, allowing him to escape and becoming the BQE through a table victim. Steve McLean cuts a promo. They didn't care what Edwards had to say, but he has a problem for weeks. He kept putting the blame on McLean. Now he's the traitor who challenged Edwards to a match next week. Wow, this is really flat. Anyway, AAA Rey de Reyes champion Deanna Peralta defeats Lady Frost to retain the title. I like the open challenges that are being done here. Anyway, she offers a shot at either the AAA or the ROH Women's titles. Challenge is answered by Lady Frost, who recently lost to Jalise Shaw. Frost is challenging for the AAA Championship. Match starts with an exchange. Peralta keeps trying to put Frost into submissions. Frost always breaks free. Frost manages a one-leg moonsault from the apron to the floor, taking Frost down. Back in the ring, Frost barely can walk, gets him offense dropkick and the rolling cannonball after a gymnastic theatrics, climbs the ropes. Peralta cuts her off and locks on the Boston Crab until Frost makes it to the ropes. Frost then rolls Peralta in, but later kicks out. Hits the Venus de Milo, and then Frost traps out for the win. This is a second defense on the Reyes de Rey title. After the match, Jalise Shaw walks down, has stare down with Peralta, but keeps her focus on the ring. Lady Frost then Shaw posts in the ring with Frost down in the corner, once again stealing the spotlight. Jay White cuts promo backstage about his match with Alex Shelley, which is strictly business, nothing personal. He says the same about turning on the Gorilla's Destiny. It's nothing personal, but they didn't measure up to his standards of the Bullet Club, and then he's the best leader the Bullet Club ever had. Carl Anderson and Gallows cut promos about being the best tag team and being Bullet Club originals. Eric Young and Violent by Design interrupts, and they asked for the tag team title they challenged they had offered and helping them out. White and Anderson said the Good Brothers were under new management, and they were not getting a title shot. Suddenly, Gorilla's Destiny run down, jumped the Bullet Club, and ended up working alongside Violent by Design. And the Bullet Club runs away. Then Jonah defeats Outlandish Ziggy Dice. Dice is recently fired from the Learning Tree. Not much of a match. Dice has a couple of strikes. Jonah comes back and defeats him. Hits a sit-out powerbomb for the win, and hits the tsunami after the deal here. Then we go backstage. Gail Kim tells Jonah that he had to stop attacking people after matches. Jonah then asks for real competition, booking him with PCO at Sacrifice. Johnny Swinger runs down after Kim cut her promo. Jonah wasn't going to make up Sacrifice because he wanted Jonah to rematch since he'd been training with Bill Dundee. Mickie James and Chelsea Green meets with Gail Kim to request title match. James Green and Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans interrupt, claiming that Green hasn't actually done anything to earn a title shot, but Kim did, breaking things up. Technically Green defeated James by DQ weeks ago. Steelz then said James only wanted no surrender because Green interfered, so she deserved a rematch. Gail Kim booked Steelz versus Green next week in the number one contendership match. Winner faces James at Sacrifice. Green told James to stay in the back next week. Also next week, Bullet Club versus Gods of Destiny and Violent by Design. Madison Rayne versus Cassidy Lee. Jonah versus Johnny Swinger and Eddie Edwards. Steve McLean. Sacrifice. Inspiration versus Influence. PCO and Jonah. Rhino and Edwards. And Trey Miguel, Jake Something. Jay White and Alex Shelley. Good Brothers, Violent by Design, and the World Championship Moose versus Heath. Then we go to the main event, which this show feels really long at this point. Honor No More, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Kenny King. With Honor No More, defeat Rich Swann, Willie Mack, and Chris Sabin with Heath and Rhino. Match starts with a brawl, and then both teams trade momentum and go back and forth. OGK and King keep control over Sabin. For some minutes, Sabin manages to dodge and get some offense. OGK finally targeting and tags in, and Swann gets the hot tag. Swann and Mack immediately start double teaming. Taven hits the 3D for near fall. Mack hits the Samoan drop in the moonsault combo for another near fall, but then after taking down both Bennett and Taven, run into the ring and take him down. OGK then teamed and turned on Mac and hit the protein pack. Win clean. After the match, Honor No More controls the ring. Maria introduced Eddie Edwards to join them, bringing Edwards in Triple Crown champion of both Impact and Ring of Honor. Edwards comes down and to the ring. Swann gets in his face, but since Dean Moorhead rules, no one gets their hands on Edwards till Sacrifice uses an attack. Edwards, and then Dean Moore comes out, sends Team Impact to the back. Before things get out of control, Edwards finally addresses the turn. He says he understands why people are angry and feeling betrayed, but they got it all wrong, blaming him. Edwards said he'd known these men for a long time, but they didn't join because they knew each other, but because he felt betrayed by ROH when they took a hiatus after all the time and work he did for ROH. Edwards said that Honor No More issues weren't about ROH alone, but the whole industry and the disturbance and corrupted industry, including in Impact Wrestling. He said 2 years ago, D'Amore and Impact started allowing people outside to come to Impact, but instead of benefiting Impact, they gave Kenny Omega a title shot. Rich Swann and failed to defend the company, allowing Omega to take their title. Edwards said that he had been on the Impact roster who had to fix Impact management's problems. Edwards said he waited for his shot after Swann, Callahan, and Moose failed to recapture the title, but instead Impact management gave the spot to Josh Alexander. At the moment, he knew that Impact had lost their honor and lost their faith he had in the company because he showed no faith in him. He then said he was the heart of Impact but didn't turn on them, and they turned on him long before. At the end, he joined Honor No More because he gave his life for Impact, but Impact never gave anything back. Alicia Edwards comes out to confront her husband. She didn't mention that they talked about it, but Alicia wasn't happy that Edwards had come out and made this public. She said that Edwards should be, instead of asking for forgiveness from the locker room and the fans, she understood that Edwards wanted to be the savior, but ended up being Josh Alexander who brought the title back. Edwards told her that Honor No More was family now, and that told Alicia that her place in his family was up to her, and whether she also was going to turn her back on him. Edwards walked away from the rest of Honor No More while Alicia stayed in the ring, rejecting Honor No More's invitation to join them. Not a fan of this, but it's a third level program, so why not? Anyway, we'll be back right after this.